Check 1 2 1 2. Let me check my sound. Hold on.
Actually looks better when I don't have the lights on.
All right, cool. Can y'all hear me?
Yep. Hey.
What's up, Shauna?
What's up? Long time.
How you feeling?
Friend. I'm good. How are you?
Trying to be like you when I grow up.
No, I'm trying to be like you.
All over the world.
All these masterminds on boats and stuff. Swimming
all over the world.
Man, I gotta step my mastermind game up. Y'all be riding donkeys and dolphins and all that.
Oh man.
Good stuff. How's the house?
A pain in the butt, but it's coming along.
Yeah.
It's coming along.
I saw something recently. But we'll go ahead and get started and jump into it because we are all in the middle of our workday.
Everything, right?
Yeah. So we are recording. No, you can kick it off. But I was just gonna say we are currently live on YouTube as well as
what's up, YouTube?
Yeah, I'm like what you are no stranger to. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get going.
Let's do it.
So this is the Oglesby and Scott Show. My name is Charles Oglesby. Austin is top millionaire with Miss Rashana Scott, the Realtor of the Year. What's going on, Rashana?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good.
Excited for today's interview, today's guest, a special friend. So I get to ask him all of the questions that I never thought to ask before. So
let's do it.
We'll get to dive into it.
Yeah, so our guest today really needs no introduction, but his name is Max Maxwell. He is the CEO of Venture Atlas, which is a real estate investment firm in downtown Winston-Salem. After getting his real estate license at the age of 21, he started at least 12 different businesses with varying degrees of success before building his multi-million-dollar real estate company in a 2-year span by wholesaling and renovating properties. His Facebook group, Wholesaling Houses Elite, has over 100,000 members. His YouTube channel has surpassed 190,000 subscribers with 300 plus videos teaching people how to make money in real estate with little to no startup capital. In addition to real estate, Max is part owner of a talent agency, a software company, and is a private pilot. Max is a first generation American of Jamaican descent who grew up in Winston-Salem, graduating from West Forsyth High School in 2002. So welcome to the show, man.
Man, thank you guys for having me. This is gonna be dope. I think it's gonna be different, but I like it.
Cool. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So for those who are crazy enough to not know who you are, give us a little bit of backstory before the fame and fortune.
Yeah, so before everything started, first generation American, like he said, but I went to the military at 17 to 21, and then it just wasn't cut out for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people I met. And then, I got my real estate license at 21, started working for another firm. And then I already went to school back to back where I can become a broker immediately, but I wanted to get my feet wet. And then after I did a year of regular buying and selling, I decided, let me go into the investment side that I want to do. And then I started doing property management investments. And that's just simply managing properties for people that have them and, finding properties for them to purchase and then rehab. And if you know anything about those times, that's 2004. Well, 5 is when I started my own firm, 5, 6, 7. And then, the world fell apart. And so I went to corporate America and did all that stuff. And then, decided I want to solve more problems, quit corporate America, and then came home and tried to start an app to fix those problems. And it just didn't work. And so at the age of 30, like, almost 31, I had to move back home with my mom. And that's when I was like, down in the dump, out, depressed. I left home at 17. I'm finally coming back at 31. It was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so I came back, and then I found out about wholesaling, and I just became crazy obsessed with it online, and went out and started taking action right away. And in 3 weeks, I had my first deal. And since then, I never really looked back. Real estate is a beautiful thing, no matter what you want to do with it. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you kind of end up keeping some at the end.
Yeah, for sure. And before we get into that first deal, because I'm interested in knowing, I think I may have heard it before, but I'm definitely going to ask you about it again. Even before 17, right? Like, did you grow up in the States? Did you grow up in Jamaica? Like, what was life like growing up?
Yes. So I spent most of my time, my older brother and sister, I have an older brother and an older sister. They were born in Jamaica. And then my parents moved to New York, and they had me. And then so I spent some time in Jamaica very young, but then my mom had moved my sister and brother back from Jamaica to America. And then she had my younger brother and sister who were twins. But we grew up in New York. And then I think it was around, I know it was 93. 93, we moved to North Carolina. So I don't know how old I was back then. Not good at math. So 93, I moved to North Carolina, and my dad was working for the Pepsi Corporation, part of the corporate headquarters that moved down to Winston-Salem. And so I've been in Winston-Salem from that time to 17. And I always considered it my home, and then obviously travel the world with that. But, I called North Carolina my home. It's always been, whether I lived in LA, Istanbul, Turkey, whether I lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, all these weird places that the military took me. I've always considered, Winston-Salem to be my home. So I'm a Carolina dude.
Winston-Salem has a history of being a pretty prosperous area for African Americans, though, isn't that right?
Yeah. So the largest bus company in the country was actually from Winston-Salem. It's called the Safe Bus Company. And North Carolina, Winston-Salem in particular, was the home of tobacco. So it's the home of like RJR tobacco, where you get your Camel cigarettes, where the Newports are made or were made. And so the largest tobacco company in the world was based right in downtown. And that's the hub of our downtown, was trains coming from the fields and bringing in, they would sell tobacco in there. But it's always been like a cool, large Black affluent place. And obviously an hour and a half up the road was Raleigh, which was the first Black Wall Street that they call. So we always had like a strong, Black culture here, and affluent people, because a lot of people worked at RJR and got to retire with benefits and those type of things. So it's a cool place to live. It's a small town. Our whole county has like 450,000 people. So it's a small town, but we're like an hour, 20 hour from Charlotte, and 30 minutes from Greensboro, North Carolina, where you got the A&T Aggies and all this stuff like that. So it's a cool place. I like it. It's quiet enough. I can get into some mess if I want to, and then I'm close enough to some airports where I can just leave and go get in the real mess. Hit Miami, Atlanta, or LA if you want to.
Good stuff. So diving into that first deal, like I know you said you found out about wholesaling and then you got obsessed. So did you invest in any type of, training, education, guru programs before that first deal, or was that an obsession just, all through YouTube University?
Yeah, mostly because I had no money. Rashawn, when I said I was broke, I had negative money. And so it was the first real uncomfortable time in my life where I felt like I was like 14, 15 with $0. Because even at those ages, I was working on the weekends and all summer long. So I had some money, but here I am finding myself as a 30-year-old grown man with no money. But I knew that wasn't my destiny. I knew it wasn't my thing. So when I found out about wholesaling, I went in. I found every podcast. And that's when I really got introduced to podcasts. I started finding every single podcast you could find. I watched every YouTube video that was available, and I would just take bits and pieces from people that had information out there. Sean Terry, some of the other guys, and I started to mold it to myself. And I just started taking imperfect action, right? I was like, yo, let me go try this, because my back is against the wall. What can I really lose? They said you don't need no money, no credit, and I had neither one of those. So this sounded like it's for me. And then, I went driving in my first neighborhood that I moved into in North Carolina, and actually found a house on the same street that I grew up on. and just started making phone calls to the people, found the person, and boom, there you go. My first check was like $14,000. And for me, that might as well have been $1 million, because you had no money, right? You get zero money. And then, so I got my first property, and then my second property, I got 7,000, and I just knew it was real. And that's why I always talk about, like, you're one deal away. It's like, there's one deal that can change your entire life. And that's what happened to me.
Nice.
You started out driving for dollars, it sounds like.
Yeah. Cause I don't know if you've been there, but let me tell you my story. I had negative dollars in my bank account. And before they really, really cut your card off, you got to get like negative like 200 and something, right? So if you go to the gas station and you charge your card, it's only going to authorize for $1, right? So you fill that car up, and I had like an old Volkswagen Jetta, and I was driving that around, and that's all. That's my last tank. That's it. I could probably borrow a few dollars from my mom if I really needed it, but it was my last tank, and pride wasn't really having me in that position where I'm asking my mom for money. I'm already sleeping in her house, eating her food and all that stuff like that. And so that driving for dollars, I found exactly what the podcast and the YouTube videos are talking about, is the tall grass, unkept bushes and stuff like that. And I said, okay, I know how to use geodata, because I was a realtor. I know how to look this up and find out who owns it. My next thing was, how do I get a hold of these people? And I had access to some software online that could help me find these people. And I just started using it. And like my second phone call, I got the owner on the phone, and I'm sitting here offering $30,000-$40,000 on a house. And this is my last gas tank. I couldn't even fill it up, but just following the process and just knowing that, if I don't do this, what's going to happen? If I fail, I can't get any worse than I am right now. And so that imperfect action really took me to the next step.
Yeah, you was about to be walking for dollars.
Yeah, I was gonna be walking. I had nothing, and it was a crazy feeling to go from, like, you making your own money, you in the military, you leave home at 17, you independent, you think you grown, and then to cap it off, leaving your 20s to be 30, and then your life automatically is just like done. It's like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So I had to make some moves. I had to make something shake.
Yeah. The imperfect action, we talk about it all the time. Charles talks about it all the time. We actually had a conversation this morning about it. But so getting started, getting going, you're a couple deals in. What are some of the things that you were just learning or messing up, like, as you were getting started with those first deals? If you can recall, and the reason why I asked is because, and I'm sure you deal with this all the time with your students, like, so many people are afraid, right? Because, well, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, right? And so obviously you don't know how it's going to play out until you're in it, right? So what are some things that you can recall?
For me, number one was, am I making the right offer with the right amount? I knew it was worth more than I was offering. I didn't know how much it was going to cost to fix it up, but it was like, if I can get this as low as I possibly can, somebody's got to be able to make. And I now that I know, I could have made way more money, but it wasn't even the point at that time. Like I said, the $14,000 check that I got could have been $1 million. But so not knowing the offer to make, my contract, I just pulled from online, started piecing it together. It had misspellings in it. I'm dyslexic, so spelling is not my forte at all. So I had bad spelling in my contract, had no idea what I was going to offer. I had no attorney on my side. I didn't even know that, I didn't know what I needed to have, because when you're strictly a real estate agent, you're dealing with, properties that fit inside this box. And that was kind of what I knew. I didn't know investing, and I didn't know a lot of this other stuff. And so it really just kind of like, you just taking these actions. And as I was going along, I wasn't afraid to tell these professionals that I didn't know what I was doing. I'm calling attorneys and saying, hey, look, this is my first investment property. I need help. What do I do this? What do I do that? And so I was asking people, hey, you know any attorneys? You know any this? Because at that point, they didn't have these big Facebook groups. You had other Facebook groups, but you couldn't, it was so bombarded, you couldn't go in there and ask any questions. And so as I was just moving along, I was just making mistakes, but almost like asking for help at the same time. And that's where I think a lot of people come off wrong in this business, is they try to be like, yo, I'm a professional. This is my 30th home. No, the natural instinct for any human is like, yo, I want to help somebody. People want to be teachers. And so asking for help is actually a good thing. And you'd be surprised what a busy attorney will do for you if you come to them in a humbling way and say, yo, I need help.
Oh my God. I'm so glad you just said that, because literally told that to my team yesterday. So my team's working through a deal. One of the new agents on my team, and she's, asking about this and that. And I'm like, listen, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call the attorney. And you can say, hey, I'm just checking in. Do you need anything? Do you need anything from me? Right. I'm new here. So I'm just trying to make sure that things are moving along. Of course, they have me, but I'm telling them, right, to insert themselves. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because like you said, you do have to humble yourself. Like, I feel like, wholesaling has a negative, this blanket in front of it for so many reasons, right? And I think one of them is for that reason in itself. So many people are trying to seemingly come off as experts or know-it-alls and acting like it's not their first deal, when in reality, like, it's okay. And like you said, there are people that will actually help guide you and, will help you with, what you don't know.
Even to the point where I was doing, like, even in my deal 15 or 20, I'm still calling homeowners and saying, hey, I got a little money. This is going to be my first investment property. I really don't know what to offer. And you'd be surprised how the reverse psychology plays to them. They're like, yo, let me help you out. I ain't living in this house. You probably going to have to spend this to fix this and this to fix that, versus coming off and asking these invasive questions. They going to tell you what they think. And they say, I don't know if this is a real right buy. And now you find them selling you the property. Like, no, just take it. Tell me, trust me, if you spend 20,000, do this and do, so it becomes where people naturally want to help. I still teach kind of that strategy now, is don't be a know-it-all, because you actually don't. Even I don't know it all. And so the natural instinct for people to help is just going to show out, and then people are going to really try to help you.
Why do you think people take the opposite approach and try to kind of come off as though they got it all together, that they're professional, they've been doing this for years, even if they haven't?
I think, one, we just grow up in a society where, all the jobs you apply for ask for 10 years of experience and this and that. And then everybody that teaches say, you need to know this, you need to know that, which is true. You do need to know, but there is a learning process you have to go through. And so you're not going to know. And it's okay to tell somebody, hey, look, I've never flipped a house this big. I'm actually afraid to buy this from you. Can you tell me some things that that I'm going to have to spend money on to just kind of ease my mind and kind of make sure I'm going in this right path, because I don't want to lose all my money on one house. And you'd be surprised. Somebody will perk up and say, okay, look, I know the basement's going to need some of this, and the AC needs this, and whatever it is with the process. So I think it's a way that people teach and think that we need to know it all. And then it's just the way we grow up in society. We feel like we have to know it all. A lot of people are afraid to ask for help because people are not so willing to help a complete stranger until you turn the other cheek and say, look, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, you started, wholesaling, and from there, like, you were just trying to make money, right? You were just you're chasing the next check, the next check. Exactly. So out of that, was there a love or passion or desire that grew for real estate? Or, like, was it the team that came next? Was it just more wholesale deals? Was it then you were like, hey, I should maybe start, holding on to some of these properties? Like, what did the transition kind of, look like after the first, a couple of wholesale deals?
You 100% right. I was chasing a check, and I was like, yo, I got more money than I've ever had in my life. But then you start to surround yourself and level up with the people you hang around. One is Mr. Robinson. He's a well-known investor locally. For sure. He owns a lot of property. And he was kind of telling me, yo, okay, great. You're doing good. What do you own? And I was like, you see that car out there? That's what I own. That's not impressive to those people. And then I really was with one of my friends, Nazar, one day. And I was like, yo, let's link up. And Charlotte, he's showing me his new build that he's doing. I'm like, man, I ain't done no new builds. And then he was like, hey, look, come with me. I'm going to show you this fourplex that I bought. I'm renovating half of it, kicking some tenants out. But I was like, you own this? He was like, yeah, I own it straight up. I'm like, dang, I got all this money here. I'm taking all these crazy trips and enjoying my life.
Your best life.
And I ain't got nothing. And I still got to grind. I got to pump out 10 deals every month, in order to keep going. And I started to realize, like, yo, okay, let me come up with a strategy. And Mr. Robinson said, listen, you need to come up with a plan. You need a business plan. I get you making money, but you need to be like, yo, every 5 houses I wholesale, I buy one. And so I came up with that for my business, whatever that looks like. And I started to just buy. But I was getting, as your mind starts to shift, you start to say, yo, I can buy this property right here that's worth 75 grand, 100 fixed up. I can buy it for 30,000. I got to do some fixing. All right, I ain't even going on this trip this month. Let me buy this house. And then once you buy this house and you fix it up and you place your first tenant in it, and you literally, like for me, stepping back and looking at this from the street and looking at the house, and I'm like, yo, I own this joint. And I remember when I was younger, my uncle, Uncle Jimmy in Kentucky, he used to take me to, I used to spend the summer with him, and he would drive around, and he had, lots of rental houses, and he would be like, yo, that's my house. That's my house. That's my house. And I'm like, oh, it clicked on me. I'm like, okay, I need to be doing the same thing. And the reality is I was about to trick this money off anyways. Let me just buy something. And then you're providing a house for a family that you start to know. And now you know these people, and you're like, so now, I have a lot of rentals, and providing a house for somebody that is deserving of it and that you like is way more gratifying than sitting here getting a big check and then, doing whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
It just
these
feels
days
better.
About how much of your business is wholesaling and how much is it all the other stuff that you're doing these days?
It's drastically changed, right? So I used to be 100% wholesaling, and probably up to 2 years ago, I was probably like 25, 30% wholesaling. The pandemic hit. Over the years, I've been able to grow my brand, some software companies, and I've been able to see a lot more money than I would ever predict in my life. And then now my business is probably 30% wholesaling, probably 20% fix and flip, and the rest I'm just buying them. And what's cool about it is I got my brother as my COO. I have other friends and families that now they have money in the pot, and they're like, yo, I want this. I'm like, cool, I want to go buy it anyways. And so instead of passing this house with this crazy equity on, we're keeping it. And, Francis now is getting into rentals, and he's buying rentals and stuff like that. And now it's like the team, now we almost doing this business to build generational wealth. We don't even really care about wholesaling. And a lot of my investors are like pissed because they're like, yo, you were the plug. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not the plug anymore. I'm kind of like the plug. And so we just changed our business model as I started to evolve as a man. I was like, yo, it's more responsible for me to keep these, especially the ones that are like less headache. I know it. I got a great deal. Listen, I don't pass on great deals anymore. I don't care if I don't have the money. I would rather give it to my brother or a friend that has it, or borrow the money if I need to. But I don't pass up on good deals anymore. I keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the software company, can we talk about what it's like to build a software company?
And why?
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know. So when I got started in late 2016, and I was a bondsman. I'm actually still a licensed bondsman in North Carolina. And so I had access to data that people didn't have for other reasons. And so I started working with this company that I was working with as a bondsman, that we would check people's records and the indemnitors and the family members as these people get out of jail, because people like to skip out on you. And so one thing that I don't think a lot of people know about as a bondsman, like say somebody's bond is $50,000. Okay. You're going to charge them anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 to get them out of jail. Percentage of that goes to the insurance company. You keep some of them, but you're on the hook for this 50,000. And some people don't want to go to court. And so now you got somebody left. You got this 50,000. I mean, it could be a friend, somebody just like, yo, I'm not going to court for whatever reason. You get a call from the sheriffs or the county, like, yo, you owe us 50 grand. And so I got real good at finding people through the software that we had. And so that skill transferred over into real estate, because it's the same thing. We find a house that's been empty for 5-10 years. Who owns it? No neighbors know. Nobody knows. There may be a record of where they at now. They live in Colorado. And so I started using that software that I had to skip trace these people, like how we would skip trace, people that wouldn't go to court when we bond them out. And that's where the word skip tracing, because when somebody doesn't go to court, they're called a skip. They skip court, and you got to trace them down. And so that word comes from actually bondsmen, that you got to find people. And so I started using the software for real estate. Now, at this time, it's very expensive. You're talking $2 a name. And so that's very expensive. So I started working with this other company as a bondsman. We started finding lower and lower rates, and I started getting it for just dirt cheap. And I started telling my friends, yo, I got this place where I skip trace these numbers for you. And I started letting them use the software. And then I got to a point where I woke up at 3:00 in the morning. I was like, how many other people need this service? And so like my friends would send me a list of 5,000 names, and in 20 minutes, I get them back everything. And I wasn't even charging them. I was just giving them what it cost me. And I said, I could turn this into a business. Here goes the entrepreneur side. So 3:00 in the morning, I build a website. My first month, I make like $40,000 selling skip tracing. I said, oh my God. And then it got to a point where it was so big. And then I met Justin and Vince, and they were working on this other product. And I started infusing my ideas into this product. And we created a company called REI Rail, which is ringless voicemail, text messaging. It's kind of like a mini CRM. And we just started solving problems in our own business, because you got Justin comes from the mortgage industry. They're all real estate investors. Vince comes from financing. And so they had all these skills that I didn't have, but then I started to merge it. And I was like, I have a community that we can use these products. And so we started building these products, and they started to work. Other people started to use them, and it started to make getting deals easier. And, now bulk skip tracing, everybody has that. But I had the first legitimate website where people can submit skip tracing and get results back in 24 hours or less. And so building those software companies, you know how we talk about 7 streams of income, right? A lot of people think it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna go do trucking tomorrow. I'm gonna go to Toro today. No, it's all within real estate for me. All 7 are within the same grasp of what I do on my daily stuff. I just solve problems in the different fields. And so now I have X amount of streams of income, all this cash coming, I got to spend it somewhere. Because I tell people all the time, I say, real estate don't make you rich. It makes you wealthy. And so you got to know how to go out there and actually get these deals to build wealth. I can bring money from somewhere else. A lot of people say, so many millionaires are, X amount of millionaires created in real estate. It's because the equity they have in their property. The regular folks live in California, they may have $500,000 in equity, especially right now, how prices are crazy going on houses. So I was like, listen, when I started taking that money and started moving it over. But building software companies is something I tried before. It's what got me broke in the first place. So it was cool to build a software company, cool to hire more employees. I don't even know how many employees we have on a daily now, because we have a bunch in support. I would say we probably have 12 employees running 2 of those companies over there. And so, but it wouldn't work without Justin and Vince for sure. Those guys are my secret weapon.
And when you built the website, like you said, the first month where you made 40 grand, at that time, you were still sending people's lists to the other company. And then you were just like upselling that.
Mm-hmm. I was getting it for 3 cents, and I was selling it for 25, 35, and 45 cents, depending on the size of your list. And so the margins were crazy. And so I was doing this as I was wholesaling. And so I don't think I ever told a story before. And so I was making, there was months I'd make $100,000 in just skip tracing. And so it just became so big that I'm glad Justin and Vince was able to take it over. So now when I met Justin and Vince, I said, listen, I got this company over here that's making dumb money. I got no time to deal with it. It was crazy. I was making just as much money in skip tracing as I was in wholesaling, but I didn't want anything to do with the software side of it, because I was like, real estate's fun. I want to keep doing this. And so with those guys' brains, they were able to take it over. I split the company up. We divided up. We own it, everything equally. And it's still today, it's growing. It's still reliable. And now one thing that's different about our skip tracing company is we actually own the data. We're not reselling someone else's data. We spent over close to $1 million buying the data set of the entire country. We actually spent a lot of money back about 2.5 years ago. So we weren't just reselling someone's data. And with Justin being a data scientist in real life, like through actual degree, not just giving himself that title, he was able to use this, use the software and the data that we bought to mold it into real estate. And, we have predictions on when somebody buys a car, how often they move, do they check their mailbox, all types of things that most people don't have access to. And so we were able to build 2 successful companies outside of that. And, but now I enjoy building companies more than I enjoy real estate, believe it or not. Like I've kind of figured real estate out. I understand it. Buy low and keep it. Don't sell it.
Buy low and keep it.
Good stuff. So I want to ask you about I want to touch on partnerships quickly
Mhm.
because you mentioned, meeting these guys and them, you guys being able to, continue to grow, a brand that you had already built, that was doing well.
Mhm.
And so I want to ask you about like just that turning point for you, right? Because like you say, you didn't necessarily want to do it, but you could have, right? You could have continued to do it. You could have figured it out. You could have kept it all to yourself. But then also meeting them and then trusting the fact like, hey, these are good partners and this is what I see and all of that. Like I want to break that down a little bit because again, you did not have to share the wealth, but you did.
Yeah, I know that I'm not that smart in all fields of things. And so when you read books and you study some of the biggest business people, they surround themselves with people that are smarter than them. And those two guys are definitely smarter than me. And so for me, it was like I can have all of this pie, which is great. The pie tastes good. I'm getting good money every month. Or if I truly want to build a company that I can exit one day, then I need to bring on other people who know how to get to that finish line. And so for me, it wasn't a pride thing for me. I took a shot in the dark. I met these guys one time and we started sharing so much information. Then it came a brotherhood and it just grew into where we trust each other. And these guys handle millions of dollars and I don't even see it. That's the type of trust we have now. But it's cool to be able to just find people that are genuine, family people that will work with you and don't try to get over on you. And it's just like, that's where you got to get that. But in order to find those people, you got to have this blind trust. Yeah. Because it's not like it comes with a stamp certificate saying, hey, this person's trustworthy. You got to go out there. You got to meet a lot of people. You got to trust a lot of people. You got to get disappointed a lot until you find the ones that are really ready to work with you. And, I enjoy what I do, my portion of the business, growing the brand, going out, speaking to people. I'm the marketing side, and I bring the ideas back too, but these guys are brainiacs. And for me, my portion of it is I'm the face man, I'm the front man. I go out there and I teach people how to do it. And then because I've never sold something just because somebody wanted to give me a lot of money, my audience trusts me. And I won't talk about it or I won't try to promote a product unless I actually use it. And so it was nothing better than building our own software, three Black guys owning the software company in real estate. And so that is just different. And I enjoy every day of it.
Yeah. And in order to, like you said, attract those people, like you also have to be that person too, right?
Yeah.
Like in order to find those people, you have to be, that type of person, like you said, to attract people with integrity, good intentions, good work ethic, and all of that good stuff.
I would hope I have all those characteristics.
190,000 YouTube subscribers. How does the business of YouTube work?
So we're actually at like 240 now. And the business of YouTube is cool. I'm glad we're talking about these things. I really only get to talk about real estate all the time. So YouTube is an interesting thing. So when I started on YouTube, I think the reason why I boomed for a couple of reasons, and this is just me being very transparent. I was a young Black guy talking about real estate. And at this point, I think a lot of people hadn't seen that yet. I think they may have seen older gentlemen. They've definitely seen white guys do it. And that's who I watched to learn how to do it, like learn real estate. But what happened was, I think that our community was so hungry. And, it's kind of like the reason why the Black Panther movie was so successful. You got to see superheroes that look like you. And so people were looking at me and was like, yo, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And I was so happy to be that opportunity beacon for people where they could be like, yo, if this guy can, I can. And then I wasn't stingy. I wasn't stingy with the information. And I had no intentions at the beginning that whoever wakes up like, yo, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I know I didn't, so it was just kind of like it fell into place and it happened. And now, we have a 5,000 square foot studio. We have, several podcast rooms, $100,000 in equipment. And I have 3 people that work full time for me that, shoot, edit. I have a senior vice president of communications who we recently hired, where she takes care of all my external communications and brand messaging and stuff. So it really becomes a business in itself. And I used to tell people when I got to a certain point, real estate wholesaling is only 1/5 of my income, 1/5. And so it started out as the top, and it's completely almost went to the bottom as far as how much money I generate from my office from wholesaling that we get to keep. And so the brand, me personally, I think everybody needs to develop a brand. Rashana is developing a brand. She has her brand. And, when you see Rashana and you hear Rashana's name, you know what she's synonymous with, right? And so I think it's important because a brand is something that no one can ever take from you. And if you build these trusts with these people, then you can go out and do whatever you want as far as partnering and selling and creating a business. I just bought a historically back meat market, and I'm going to build that meat market back up, and I'm going to use my brand to sell steaks. And, you just never, you don't think about that you can do these things, but that's the road you can go down. You can do these things. And I tell anybody that I meet, I said, listen, not even if you don't want to be a YouTuber or out there like that, you can build a brand within your city. You can build a brand just in Chicago that, I'm the number one real estate person, period. And that brand could just be, you can be a beacon of light in your city. So everybody needs to go out and build a brand. That doesn't mean you need to be like a guru, don't need to be selling things. I'm just saying there's a brand associated with you, whether you like it or not. You might as well be intentional with it and build something nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And so obviously from there, like I said, the YouTube started and then the community started to grow. And then from there, what did I guess the next phase of growth look like? Was it just continuing like wholesaling? Like when you get to a certain level, and I believe I'm there now, like when you're like, okay, I've gotten this success. This is working. It is like, what's next, right? What's next? And walk us through that.
For me, I'll be honest, when the COVID hit, and we were just fresh in a brand new 8,000 square foot office. We just spent like 200 grand renovating, and COVID hit. I was upset at first. And then for me, it was like, I need this break. And so if most people don't notice, I took an entire year off from really creating constant content and putting out things. And it was natural because it was like, everybody was like, okay, everything was stopped. Do I regret it as an entrepreneur? I regret it a little bit because who knows where I would be if I kept going, but I enjoyed it because I got to relax. I didn't have to put out a video every other day. And that's hard to make videos that actually, people want to watch. And so, for me now, my next personal goal now is I want to build a company that I can exit. As an entrepreneur, it's our NBA championship. It's like, yeah, you can walk around as an entrepreneur amongst the circles. I'm sure we all walk around people that made a lot of money, but I think the golden NBA ring is like, did you win a championship? Did you build a company big enough or successful enough that some other company wanted to buy it? And I think if you can build that, and that's my goal, is to sell a company for X amount of dollars. And so I'm always jabbing. I'm learning every day. I'm peeking into other industries. I'm scaling what I'm doing. I'm working on a dope TV show right now. This is the first time I talk about it. I'm working on a dope TV show right now, and has nothing to do with real estate. And I'm talking to some very interesting people that I have just like, they gonna call me Mr. Green Light, basically. But, it's been cool. We've done other things. Like Dave and I, we have an agency where we represent talent. And we sold a show to Snapchat for a lot of money, almost $1 million. And, it's just these things that we do. We try to level up all the time. But for me, I'm glad I took a break. I'm coming back fired up as ever. And, I'm really still trying to, here's one thing I would say, Rashana, is that, and I'm not even like crazy rich compared to my peers, right? Like, I don't have $50 million. Hell, I don't have $20 million. I might be worth, a certain amount of money. But after you have a certain amount of money, you start to realize, and this is going to sound so cliche for anybody sitting at home, like I haven't made it yet. It's not about the money. It's because at the end of the day, once you've done tricking off all the money you want to trick off, all the trips you can take, all the things you can buy. And I'm not even really a flashy person in real life. I wasn't raised like that. After a while, bro, you really only need like 300,000-400,000 to live like a crazy life. And so when you look around and you've bought everything you've bought, you went most of the places you ever wanted to go, you're like, now you got to find a whole nother purpose to keep you driving. And for me, is really like helping people. And that's why I gave away so much information for long. It felt so natural. I'm a great salesperson. I can sell you anything, but I'm uncomfortable selling people like information. Like most people don't even know I have a course. Most people don't even know, the products that I own. I don't talk about them. And it's because I feel uncomfortable selling these things to people as they rise to the top. Now I know most people might hate that. Like anybody, like if I have business partners and like, yo, you got a brand, you can sell $1 million in a day. I could, but what does that look like in the long run? You know what I mean? So I care so much about my brand and just not selling that, yeah, I've missed out. I think at one point I had probably one of the biggest brands in wholesaling. I missed out on probably $5-10 million, but I feel good about it because I have $5 or $10 million. So what would those extra $5 or $10 million have done for me if I kind of just sold everything? And I wouldn't have been able to meet, such genuine, beautiful people if everything that I offered was behind a paywall. You know what I mean? I spent 9 months straight on the road, flying to cities for free, doing pop-ups when it was like not the cool thing to do. I know people do it now, but it was like I spent 250,000 miles in an airplane flying from city to city, Atlanta, Houston, LA, Florida, you name it. I was popping up in cities and I would tell people, yo, meet me here at 6:00. And we would have 200 people show up and I would just take questions left and right from random folks about real estate. And I'd spend an hour or two taking pictures after. And that became how I got to know people and how I got to meet some beautiful people, even people now that I even do business with. So, I know you had a question that had nothing to do with that, but, it was just like, what's my growth path? I just want to help people. I want to do it in a big way, because I think if we can make helping people contagious, I think that will combat a lot of our problems that we have in this world.
Given all your success and all the great things that you're doing, what is something that you struggle with on a daily basis?
A lot of people don't know I'm actually an introvert. I'd rather be at home right now by myself, and so because, and it's like it's a switch I could turn on. I actually like to go on vacation and do nothing and just be by myself. I like that type of stuff. But then I actually kind of like people too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so my circle is kind of small. I hang out with a very select amount of people, but I like my alone time. I like driving in my car by myself with no radio, no music, no nothing, and just thinking. And so I struggle with wanting to go out and network as much as I know I should be. And, it's a downfall for me personally. But, I try to overcome it with other ways. But yeah, I'm a real introvert in real life.
In terms of your Jamaican heritage, to what would you credit that with your success and just the great things that you're doing?
My mom had 2, sometimes 3 jobs. And growing up, I never felt broke or poor. I never came home the lights off. We always had food on the table. My mom took care of 5 kids by herself. And so I remember my mom used to sand drywall when she got home from her nursing job or her CNA job. And so, I visit Jamaica a lot, and I tell people this all the time, and some people take this the wrong way. I say, America is not the land of opportunity. It's the land of lazy ass people. And the reason is because in my country, in Jamaica, in order to just live, you have to work hard. And this is all types of countries. just to baseline make it, you got to work hard. And so when people who are foreigners that come to America, they realize that if they work hard, they're rewarded with it. And so they come over here, and that's why you see, 3 years, somebody owns a gas station. And you say like, well, damn, he just got here. And so we have a different work ethic built into us. Now, this is not everybody. I'm just talking the majority. So I think that seeing my mom work hard allows me to normalize working hard. And so it's not a foreign object to me. Like, I don't want to go home at 5. Like, it's not a desire to me. I don't have no kids. I don't have no wife. It's why am I running home at 5? And so I like to work. I like to build things, and being able to do that, I think, is deeply rooted in just my Jamaican parents. There's a joke going around. Jamaicans got 8 jobs, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of, what I've seen as normal. So I like to hustle.
I also saw that you were going to Ghana and looking at real estate, and there's a misconception about Africa and real estate, but I've seen some really nice homes in Ghana. I've seen some really nice homes in Nigeria. What's it like over there?
I'm actually going back Sunday. I want to be over there for 2 weeks. So Ghana is a beautiful country. When I did my DNA test, I'm like 43% Nigerian, right? But Ghana is a beautiful, beautiful country. And it's the number 2 economy, I believe, in that continent. It's the number 2 safest country in that continent. And they're so welcoming of people back to the motherland. And so I went over there. I met some great people, a guy named Gus who owns Cameo One Realty Homes and now Development. And so, it's a beautiful place. They got luxury real estate popping. And me going to Ghana is kind of like, when I went to Ghana, it was like me going to go watch a movie for the second time. And I kind of I know the pathway they're going. I know the services and the things they will need. And so me being an entrepreneur, I'm able to interject myself and be like, hey, you need to fix this problem. This is coming down the road. You can build this business, and I guarantee in 5 years, it's going to be needed, and you're going to be pretty wealthy. And so, but you got to look at, the mortgage industry over there is only 12 years old. Luxury real estate is about 16 years old. And so naturally with those things, they have a housing crisis. Everybody focused on the luxury real estate. And so now there's affordable housing crisis. And so now I'm going over there to partner and talk about how we can solve the problem for the school teachers. They have a teachers union. They need about 50,000 houses. And so we're going over there to see how we can help facilitate, maybe build and develop projects over there. And so it just feels comfortable. I got real comfortable being rich in America. And then I went back and I went to Africa, and I felt like I need to be rich somewhere else. So who knows? Y'all may be seeing me shooting YouTube videos, very soon, permanently in Ghana.
Oh,
yeah. Don't be surprised.
Good stuff. Well, look, I'll just stay at your house while you're gone.
Yeah. It's almost done. You can stay there. I won't put no furniture in it though. That's on you.
You'll come back. I'm gonna have a whole short-term rental operation running out of the,
right. Just take care of my horses. That's all.
Look, I'm put the horses on Turo.
That'd be dope.
Speaking of the house, I always tell people that the smart move is to buy the land and build what's there. Why did you decide to go that route? And like, what are the economics behind it?
Yeah, so it was more than I ever, right? At this point, we've built like small 2-bedroom houses. But I originally bought 17.4 acres. And then I started buying the neighbors' lots next to it. So I have a total of almost 22 acres now. And I got a great deal on the land. That's what started it. And it started as a great deal. I paid under 70 grand for 17.4 acres. And then that's where the problem started. I thought I was going to go in there and start cutting down trees. And then the city and the state was like, nope, you need a retention and all this stuff. And so I had to end up digging 4 big ponds, some of them as deep as 18 feet. So I spent a lot of money. I spent close to 100 grand preparing the land just for building. And then it's crazy. I had ordered my lumber package. Sorry, I got my quote on my lumber package in March and then of last year. And then September, when I purchased it, it was up 83%. Still a lot lower than it is now. And so the build cost me more. I spent a little over $1 million so far. And so I got the land prepped, bought the land, built a 10-stall horse barn. I have a new YouTube studio, gym, in another building behind the house. And then my house is only 4,000 square feet. People are like, yo, why you only build a small house? I'm like, yo, 4,000 is a lot on one level, And so, and I don't have no daggone kids. What I need a 7,000 square. I ain't Drake. I don't need that. And so, a house on 20 something acres, with my own riding arena and my horses. I think that's good enough for me right now.
Yeah.
So was the intention to look for the land and definitely buy, or was it a deal that came across the table and you're like, man, this is a great deal. Well, I might as well buy it and then build a house.
So I was looking to start to build something for myself. I was like, because this whole time, a lot of people know I live in a studio. I've been living in a studio for 6 years. And so you're talking like I can see my kitchen. I can go to the bathroom and probably cook eggs at the same time. And so here I am with millions of dollars living in a studio. And I was just like, real estate was really just like the game Monopoly for me. I did not care about where I lived at. I knew I owned a lot of real estate and I was dealing with transactions every day. So it starts to become something you don't care, like where you actually sleep your head at. And so I was like, let me build me a house. I didn't know what size house I wanted. I didn't know how big I wanted. And then this deal came across my desk and I said, buy it. And I bought the property and I said, okay, let's build. And so I never had the intentions to build something on this much acres. But the cool thing is I own 20 something acres in the city. And so my driveway is crazy. My driveway's in the city. My house sits in the county. And so because it's so big, well, the house, hopefully they won't make me pay city taxes on the house. But it was a deal where I'm now 3 miles from my airport where my plane sits. And I have the hangar. I own the whole 27,000 square foot hangar. And it's like, okay, this proximity, everything's just working out. So everything just kind of fell into my lap and I just did not fight it. I just let it roll. I just roll with the punches.
So you bought the land for 70, you had 100,000 in improvements, $1 million on the actual structure. What's it worth after it's structured? Yeah. What is it worth after it's completed though?
It's market's crazy right now, right? I have no idea, but I was hoping for like 1.6, 1.7 million.
Okay. So you built in about
just being conservative because there is no ranch. So it's a ranch and there's no ranch that has a 10-stall horse barn, a riding arena, a 4,000 square foot house, a gym,
And the appraiser is going to pull up and be like, man, what is going on here? Can I spend a night?
Yeah. And I just bought, so my plan is to buy most of the houses on the street. So it's at a dead end, cul-de-sac, and I'm the only one down there. And so I actually just bought the house next door. I haven't closed on it yet. Bought the house next door, and it's the only house that I can see. And so I bought that one. I'm in the process of buying it now. Closing hasn't happened yet.
Awesome.
And so that'll give me another acre and 1.2 acres or something like that.
That's gonna be the guest house.
That's where eventually, if I have kids, I want to have kids one day, that the nanny can live.
Oh. So before we wrap, I want to ask you about flying in the plane. What does that do for you? Because it seems like it's a hobby. It's kind of an expensive hobby, I'm sure. But so why do you keep that up?
So it's really not an expensive hobby. And so I have a nonprofit called First Influence, where it's around, it deals with children, where we love to be their first positive influence. And so what we do is we work with horses and aviation. And so what we do is we buy horses that have been mistreated, that are sick, and we get these horses back to health. And we allow the kids to do it. Now, these horses, they measure horses by hand, right? So these horses are 14, 15, 16 hands tall. And you can imagine a 10-year-old kid barely comes to the thigh of the horse. And they have to rehabilitate this horse back to health and they create this bond with this horse. But what this does is it allows them to see that they could conquer things that are much bigger than them. It's just a small thing that you have to kind of program in their head. And another thing is we take kids, because my airport is literally behind the north side of town. They call it like the hood. And so that area, these kids that live around here have never flown in a plane, never seen a plane, definitely never seen no black pilot. And so getting your license is not expensive. It could cost you anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000. It all depends on your ability. So it's not expensive relatively, right? And you don't pay it all at once. You pay it as you go. You pay by the hour. 2, planes don't have to be expensive. My first plane was $27,000. They have 20-year financing on those planes. And so my plane now is a custom plane. It is like over 300,000. But once you have the plane, it's not that expensive to maintenance it. And so because of these misconceptions that it's only for the elite, like, everybody thought golf was expensive. Golf's not expensive. You go buy some damn golf clubs and you're paying like $40 a play. That's not expensive, but just because we heard it so many times, we believed it. And so my thing is to get more African-American kids exposed to aviation, whether it's flying or being mechanics on planes, and then also exposing them into, the Western world, riding horses and teaching them the true history of like cowboys and stuff like that. But aviation is cool. And it's not just a hobby. I use it to, I was at a rehab the other day in South Carolina. I jumped in my plane. What would have been a 2-hour drive, I'm there in 20-something minutes. And so if I need to go to Atlanta is, I got to fly to the airport. I got to go to the airport, wait commercially, get on a plane for a 45-minute flight. No, I get in my plane, hour and 20 there and an hour and 20 back. Yeah. And so just being able to move, I can go to lunch at Myrtle Beach, right? Which would be a 3-4 hour drive. I can go to lunch and come right back and you would never know I was gone. And so the freedom to be able to do that is amazing. Plus, eventually everybody's going to be flying soon. If I live old enough, we all going to be flying anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the time that you save too.
Exactly. Right. So we start to value our time way, way more. And so we can do that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Such a great interview. So we got a couple of wrap questions and then we are going to let you go. But man, so many gems. So our first question is, who is someone you look up to and why?
My favorite person in this world is my mother, like dead honest. And so I look up to her because of what I know she's had to go through to get to the position where she's at now. And so for her to be able to go through those things and then raise these kids that all turned out great, right? I got some fabulous brothers and sisters. We all turned out great. And so, that's the person I look up to every day. And she's one of the main reasons why I work so
hard. What's your favorite business or real estate book?
Business book. So I didn't read my first book till I was like 30. And so because I'm dyslexic, so I do listen to a lot of books now. Now, I don't read with the purpose of entertainment. I read with the purpose of solving a problem that I have. So I've read so many books. Like when I was growing my sales team, I went and read 3 or 4 sales team growing books. So I don't really think I have a favorite book, but the book that sparked me off to start reading and to start to change my mindset was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love 4 Hour Work Week and I love The Richest Man in Babylon. And so those books are something that I've read through once and went through and listened to portions that I think applied to what I needed for whenever it was.
Good stuff. What's the next question?
Freestyle.
No, I have the next question, but I literally was like, I think I got 4 Hour Work Week. I need to go pick it up. That's where my brain went. But I think that the key there too, that's really good is like you say, you don't read for entertainment, you're reading to solve a problem and you're reading obviously for information and for education. But you also mentioned like you go back and you're specifically looking for what can help you right then and there in your life, in your business with exactly what you're dealing with. And the problem, the answer to your problems are right there. So I think that's a great key because I think so many people, we don't look past that or we don't go and seek for like specific information, right? To solve our problem. So yeah, so that's good. So
or if you have a problem, you're out here asking just some random person for their opinion instead of going to an expert. So.
Yeah, I need to get an expert opinion.
Yeah, good stuff. So what sets apart successful investors from those who fail, give up, or never get started?
Yeah, so people that, one, they don't invest in themselves. And so yeah, I was in Africa the other day and they were like, they kicked off I did a pop-up in Africa, by the way. I'm gonna put that on record. I'm gonna do some Soulja Boy stuff. I think I'm the first one to do a pop-up in Africa. But anyways, she said, what is the best investment on earth? And this guy said, yourself. And he was 100% right. So you have to invest in yourself. The smartest people I know in the world, some of the richest people I know personally, invest in themselves all the time. And then two, people don't ask the right questions, or they don't ask any questions. And so ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask the right people questions until you get the answer that you're looking for. So invest in yourself and ask questions. I think that separates the difference between, successful anything and people that are not successful.
One of my favorite Greek philosophers, Socrates, got exiled for asking questions. And
ask away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, but the thing was, like, people thought that he was an asshole, or he was trying to act like a know-it-all. And he was just like, no, I mean, people, you just really don't know what you don't know.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
What does wealth mean to you?
Wealth is something that, for me, that you can, what you do now will have a lasting impact for generations. And so wealth is not only the monetary thing, it could be just being a good person that lasts a long time. And so, we talk about Martin Luther King. He didn't die a wealthy man, but he was able to give wealth beyond the time of his death. And so wealth is that. Now, what's important, the type of wealth that we need to be focused on as Black people, is the generational wealth that you can pass on, and it is the money. And so we need to start being able to trickle money down and not up. I'm probably, in my family, I'm the first millionaire, and money had to go back up to take care of things that, that are deserving of being taken care of, but we're taken care of that way. We need to be, when I pass away and leave something, I need my grandkids to still be, benefiting from what I did when I was here. And so a lot of us have a very short time frame of what they're trying to invest for. And me personally, what I've learned through reading and my mentors is you need to have 100-year investment plan, 100 years. And there's very few people that live to be 100 years old. But if your investment plan now is to last 100 years, you'll be able to build generational wealth. I mean, you want people to talk about when you're dead anyways, right?
Listen, that's legacy. That's how you stay alive.
Exactly.
Legends never die.
That's exactly right. Gotta keep giving. People still eat off Michael Jackson's joints.
Good stuff. Man, great interview. Great interview.
I enjoyed it.
I learned some stuff about you that I did not know. We got a couple of exclusives on the interview. So this is good. Thanks so much for sharing. We learned a lot, and I'm sure the listeners appreciated that other side of you, right? Like that transparent side, and just seeing, there's more behind the man on YouTube. So we appreciate it.
I thank you, and it's dope you guys are doing live, because it's actually hard to do a live show, and so that's cool that you guys are doing it. So, Rashawn and Charles, I appreciate you guys having me on. I don't know why it took so long, but we're here. I ain't mad.
Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? And where can they support what you have going on?
Anything you got, any platform you love being on, just search my name, Max Maxwell. I'll pop up. I would enjoy a follow. Subscribe to my YouTube, search Max Maxwell. I love that. I'm trying to get to 350,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And because I've been slacking, I haven't got there. So if I can get like 100 more subs, let me see where I'm at right now. I'm gonna put your people to the test.
Yeah.
I'm at
how many people you put over?
I don't even know how many subs I have. I'm at 242,437. I need 242,537 by the end of the day. And I'm sure your people can help me out.
We're going to make it happen.
I appreciate it.
So we'll definitely have all his information inside of the show notes and all the ways that you can contact him that way. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, and subscribe to the show. Leave us a rating and review. We like 5-star reviews. My name is Charles Oglesby with Miss Rashana Scott, and we are signing off. Awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
Cool. All righty. It actually is still live. I don't know how to end it live.
Okay, cool.
This is the after party.
We'll go ahead.